Like the proverbial pebble dropped in a pond, some surfers have an influence so profound it ripples across oceans and through time to shape surfing for decades to come. This is the ripple effect.
1, 2, 3, 4.
It's 1972. Disco, flares, and glam rock are in. U.S. President Richard Nixon is about to become embroiled in the Watergate scandal. And Albie Fazon's homage to country soul surfing, Morning of the Earth, is packing out cinemas. But in the small Australian surf-mad town of Coolangatta, the wild design advances of the shortboard era and 5 years of cyclone swells create a flashpoint of surfing development. Surfing might be getting back to where it all began, as Morning of the Earth urged, but the Coolangatta crew are a hyper-competitive lot with fire in their bellies and stars in their eyes.
It was a shortboard revolution. We were cutting down surfboards, we were riding smaller boards, getting in the barrel for the first time, long barrels.
Peter Townend is the grandson of the local publican, an ordered and ambitious stylist with dreams of surfing stardom. Michael Peterson is a wild, erratic talent whose freakish ability is matched only by his sociopathic competitiveness and undiagnosed schizophrenia. And this Mick Jagger impersonator is Wayne Rabbit Bartholomew, who hovers between the two extremes with a flamboyant rock star sensibility and a desperate hunger for the rewards that the pro surfing dream promises.
It was unbelievable. PT over this side telling me about how to do it properly, and MP over this side just going, no, take the radical path. If you're a true surfer, just come this way. It was so cool.
The Coolangatta Kids dominated the emerging pro era in the 70s with a rapid competitive fury and their refined point break styles. MP was virtually unbeatable for 3 years, from 73 to 75.
When he went out in the water, it was like he let the collective zoo out of his heart. It was like a crocodile, snap.
MP was the most feared out of all of them.
He must have had an amazing aura.
And it was like the hiss of the tiger.
You just hear a whistle and you knew that he was going.
Stinging the snakes.
You know, I just had to survive the MP onslaught and then, give him some rabbit punches whenever I could.
MP's style, it's pretty erratic.
There's never been a human being like him. I don't think there will ever be.
And it was like this menagerie going on in the water. And you were going, get the fuck out of this crazy guy's way. He's on fire.
PT and Rabbit collected 2 of the first 3 world titles of the new Pro Tour from 1976.
The way Rabbit used to talk, it seemed like every moment that they were together, every time they surfed every day, was like it was a world title bout.
PT was, very polished, twinkle toes.
I am what I am, and this is how it is.
The style master.
Very professional.
Testing 1, 2.
He was a visionary.
Rabbit was the full tilt leader of the boogie band.
Best storyteller you've ever seen.
The style enigma sort of guy, almost along the lines of Mick Jagger.
Very poetic, very well spoken, a born natural leader, and he had the boogie in him. A natural boogie, natural dancer.
For a while there, they both accepted me in their worlds, and then, of course, when I got older, then, the rivalry was all on, but they were beautiful days when, I was friends with both of them.
It's remarkable that one little town produced such a block of surfing talent, yet 30 years later, it did it all again when 3 young Coolangatta beach rats, all from broken homes, burst onto the world stage. Mick Fanning, Joel Parkinson, and Dean Morrison were part of a gang of cheeky, straw-haired grommets who called themselves CK7, duking it out in Gold Coast junior titles, scrounging money for their next meat pie or chocolate milk.
For us, it wasn't bitter or anything like that. It was like, I just want to beat him. And I just want to beat Dean, or I just want to beat Joel. And that just served us pretty much to where we are today.
By 2003, the 3 Coolie Kids were all ranked in the top 10 in the world. Within a decade, they'd have 4 world titles and 30 world tour victories between them.
Now, you could see that these kids were going to, be right up there with the best, and, we're going to challenge Kelly Slater.
Coolangatta is to Australia what Miami is to the US, a retiree's paradise known for its balmy year-round weather and cavernous clubs full of senior citizens feeding coins into banks of poker machines. So how has Coolangatta, population 5,000, produced more surfing champions than anywhere else on Earth?
Because of the waves. It's purely the waves.
Captain Cook called it point danger. There was, waves pumping when he come by, and there's still waves pumping here now.
The quality of surf and the quantity and the consistency of waves
obviously the variety of waves.
It was almost like a wave machine, you know, every wave was just perfectly lined up.
Probably because the waves are so good here, I guess. I reckon they're so long.
Practice your snap or practice your cutback.
20 turns on every wave.
Longest point break in the world, I reckon.
While there are some parallels between the two generations, the modern Coolie Kids are not their elders reincarnated.
They're going to do some movie about the 3 original Coolie Kids, and I said, well, I want Mick to play me.
Dingo would probably be PT because they're both short.
You know, they're kind of like their own mould.
Dingo's got traits of all of them, you know, very elusive like MP, but then when he puts his mind to something, he's very determined like Bugs is. I don't want to say he's got style like PT because he's got no style.
Mick's his own self, and probably so am I. It's hard to say that what's similar.
You can't compare it just because of MP being in the mix.
You'd have to say Dingo would be more like MP. He's elusive, he's hard to catch.
He's a little bit missed though as well, like I haven't seen him in ages. Like where is he?
Chasing waves and chasing tail, but he doesn't get no tail. He gets no tail. You get no tail, Dingo.
Mate, he's the Dingo. He may just come out at night. You might see him in the morning. You never know with Dingo. He's been the most elusive human since year 8.
Yeah, g'day, it's Dean. Leave me a message.
Although when a Coolie Kid really wants to get lost, there's one place to do it. Coolangatta surfing is all about sand, watching it, monitoring it, waiting for it to accumulate in the right places, with millions spent on dredging and pumping it.
74, all the sand started to build up on the Coolangatta side of the groin, and it started to wash around the end. And then we had this just incredible stretch of surf.
Best bank I've seen, probably 2002.
2002 along Greenmount. We were filming for 3 degrees and it was just flawless for like 4 days.
Flying out of a little tube, and then you can just do a beautiful roundhouse and just, you know, whack it, and then you go into another section.
You'll get a slug of sand, and it does move. It literally moves along to all the different locations.
It fluctuates and moves around with wind and wave patterns. Right now it's probably premium because we've got all that sand pushed in from the north.
A little groin Kira had its moments when it was just better than Kira, like just amazing barrels.
The waves are no different in that the magic sand is still here and the magic's still here.
The original Coolie Kids arose during a period of almost constant cyclone swells and classic Kira in all its glory. The modern Coolie Kids were the last generation to sample real Kira and the first brought up on the Superbank as an automated sand pumping system transformed the Coolangatta coast in the 2000s.
Kira's, of course, the jewel in the crown. When it's on, Kira's the jewel in the crown. It's like having a cup of tea with God.
I'd forego a lifetime at the Superbank for 2 years of perfect Kira.
One day at the Superbank and you're sort of like, all right, let's get something bigger where Kira would just have so many different emotions on one wave.
Absolutely would choose Kira. Because there's one difference with Kira and the Superbank, and that is me and Dino talk about it, only Kira had this groove. It's a groove in the wave that you know, you can ride triple behind the curtain, 3 sections back, and it's because you can get in this groove in the wave. Only Kira's got it, the proper Kira bank.
A lot of great surfers came and went in between these two storied generations, but why did the 80s and 90s fail to produce an unending stream of world beaters?
Obviously, because there hasn't been any good surfers.
I don't know why the universe doesn't give us full-time hot surfers.
Yeah, that's pretty strange.
I call it the lost generation. Drugs killed a generation.
Maybe people were just like off the rails for a bit though. Like
we've had no proper guidance to say, you go up on the sugar of waves, you got to come down. So be aware of it.
The spotlight moves, you know, it moves, not just the spotlight, but the energy, it kind of moves, and it was here for a while, you know, it was like Halley's Comet, it was in Coolangatta for 10 years.
The stand-up paddleboarding is getting really popular.
The first Coolie Kid shone so bright and cast such long shadows with the price of fame vividly on display. Hawaiian beatdowns, psychotic episodes, an abrupt cliff's edge at the end of their competitive careers. For the next generation, staying home and gorging on perfect point break barrels may have seemed more appealing.
It takes more than one. And what happened in this town is that MP and I came along at the same time. And I would never have been as good as I was if it wasn't for MP, because every day I had to try and be better than MP, and Rabbit then had to try and be better than both of us.
The three of us were just very determined to beat one another.
And until the whole Dino, Parko, Fanning thing came along, the same thing happened. You know, that energy makes those guys better.
Whatever the reasons, the modern Coolie Kids came programmed with boundless ambition and the perfect circumstances to fulfill it. Board riders clubs, pro junior circuits, a constant roster of regional, state, and national titles meant the Coolie Kids were battle-hardened contest warriors by the time they hit the tour. Staged in the world's best waves and prime season with waiting periods, the so-called Dream Tour, allowing that Coolangatta Point Break style to shine.
I think there is a Coolangatta style, you know, that runs through all the surface from this town.
And of course, slam it around, and then you pump it up again, and it's gimme some of that surfboard shimmy, yeah!
Flow between manoeuvres, linking the manoeuvres beautifully and seamlessly, and, you know, going from barrels to big carving cutbacks, and then, you know, into deep bottom turns and you know, really amazing carving surfing, and you know, that to me is something that is a common thread right through all the great Coolangatta surfers.
Perhaps surfing talent, like the fluctuations of sand that feeds it, moves in cycles, with only the shrewdest observers able to detect where and when it will take shape next. The original Coolie Kids met very different fates. MP crashed and burned, heavily medicated for schizophrenia. He existed in a twilight world before he died of a heart attack in 2012. PT moved to California in search of his fortune, helped resurrect US competitive surfing, and became a key player in the booming surf industry. Bugs coached national teams, ushered in the Dream Tour era of the Association of Surfing Professionals, and now tends to the next generation.
They don't know any different. You know, I mean, this is the good old days for them, you know, and you see them out there stoked. I mean, I figure if we can get waves out here at Snapper, you can probably get waves anywhere.
Well, we're at Snapper right now, and it gets super crowded. So if you want to catch a wave, you have to go like right behind the rock.
If there's one thing the modern Coolangatta surfer has to contend with, it's crowd.
Crabs, I don't have crabs. Oh, I'm trimmed up.
If you've had a good one, paddle back out and go, mate, you're next cab off the rank. I've had a good one, I need to catch my breath. Your turn next.
What'd you say though? Crowds. Oh, crowd.
For the relentless ties of visiting surfers from all points of the globe, it pays to know who not to drop in on.
You should never drop in on all the Brazilians and the Japanese, because they get off the plane and paddle straight to the inside, and you should always respect that.
I definitely wouldn't want to drop in on Bruce Lee or my dad.
My uncle, Bruce Lee, Rab.
Bruce Lee's your friend, so's Dwayne Harris. They're keeping people that are too slow, not learning enough to get out of the way in time, out of harm's way. And that's the way it is. So wear it.
For all the noise and crowds and hype and contests and stars rising and falling, the waves roll on regardless.